Abusia, I have so many questions to ask us, and I want us to think over it. And I am asking all these questions so we look into them. Pamocho, why would a small nation keep poking bigger and bigger enemies? Edenti, enebema Iran. A small nation like Israel na Iran. Omo bekoswa se omo kun tokwani like a kura kesiye any ade. This is not the first time Iran is actually attacking Israel. This thing has happened before and they even killed someone. Who was that? And what is all these things about? Why would Ghanaians decide to build a temple for God? But they will go all the way to Israel to go and get a part of a particular rock that they are coming to plant it in the temple. And millions of cities went into it and it crashed. We didn't see the building. Could it be a case? Who is actually advising Africans? Who was advising Ghanaians to go and get a rock from there to come and use as basis for the temple they claim they were building? I have huge questions I want to ask. And then in that small nation like Israel, they be a keep poking bigger wars. Why would they continue to make more and more of the world angry with them? Because they don't want us to live in peace. Wipe you off completely. Normal resurfacing. They came to do the same thing. Why would they not find peaceful resolution? Why? Who feel it's a damn potty? Because peace is not the plan. And to kwa we omokui, who pesa wo tell me so omoku Emma Israel and winni, ana Iran and winni, ana who and winni ne asumdie no omope, ana yeden. All these are questions. The plan, according to this ancient script, is to accumulate enough world hatred, enough mass antipathy until every nation turns against them. And why would they even think like this? According to the belief, God comes to rescue them when we are seeing in our time or more. That is the scripted end. And tenya dia obiya hwehwe asomdwe, but why mu na ye behind this movement? These are things that SSA yetumi hwehwem na afei obibini atumi adwen sabio kafrache no wadwen adwen ye. Israel was not formed by accident. In my opinion, the new Israel movement was formed after the Second World War with this specific myth in mind, to gather and create religious brand of a chosen people in one place. And before what GDA said, there are chosen people. It say 144,000. It say, all these things is going on according to Ebinomo Ajunimuno. Said they be omo best selected these people. Na fe nyankopon abemu na wa be intervene. Ade we so be dream say nya yemfa ni ben na nhwe sa nipa no. Pamocho. Today I want to go deeper. Because there is a second question that has been sitting on my chest since I began researching this topic. Who are these people really claiming to be the chosen ones? Who are those? Are the current people calling themselves the chosen nation actually the ones the ancient prophecy was written about? Say ye fiti asem we yin ani ase a megimidi se beboa bi before am atena omoto so. Sabe no madwen yie. Or have they borrowed someone else's identity and used someone else's mythology? A question no, muma yem boa ye hunu ye yi we am yin focus on questions yi so mame. Are they reenacting someone else's divine promise? Nkrofo we want to call awori queen. Ye dwen hu ko echila. Questions am be say and if they borrowed it, who did they borrow it from? So you be borrowed mythology and I borrowed history. And they ne nipa ben. Omu history na nkrofo we aboro ya omu ku omu ho. This is my opinion. I have done my research. I have spoken to the masters. I have sat with this for a long time. And today I am going to walk you through what I believe happened. I want you to take a critical look at this episode. It is about history. It is about mythology. It is about the agenda. It is about the propaganda. What these people are doing enye de di kan enye de etoso mienu enye de etoso miensa. From Genesis to Revelations there's been war. So ade omo ye no omo ye ma obi anwini a ntokwa nsi wiase biom eno ne ade ese yetimi dwen ho abusua eniema we na mepese ye dwen ho obibini oti ni kurom ose wahu nyame se nyame se ntokwa ne be wie se afa mu me nhwa ade. Today we are discussing the third temple of MORIAH. Eno ne topic ende me ne umienu ye be share me be mamu history no. Me pese obiya o hwe me bia wo hwe wi a use your phone. This episode use pen and paper so that you do a lot of research. Se wo be su o, se wo be siri o, wo yo bibini a eye wasem. Ye be 3 stages. Ye be share the rock of MORIAH. Then ye be share the third temple and fire. Ni wi a ye be share they don't want to win the war. Na afei me pese wo hwe me a wo be bubu asem we mu na wo de wo to atena wo to so no wadwen yie e de amame. Abusua mo akwa ababiomo. I want to start today by saying something very simple. Someone asked me if I think people of the USA have been given a reason why America is fighting a war for Israel. Obi bisa me. Sa asem we. Na me ka kire say nipa ne say answer na me de be ma no. Se me de ma na wan hwa enye ne de. But ye were Christopher bi wo ho omo nridi ade. Omo soso a omo ntie news. Di omo ya apene se omo hye nkom. Enti mi decide se mekọ wemu asem wemu ne yahwe. Na obi sam say emfaso obe na wo ho se America fo ko ntokwa ama Israel fo a. Don't forget say asem ni nyina ne tintini ne tietie nyina gina Jerusalem. Mo kai se Trump baaye no. Onu na obeyi capital no free Tel Aviv. Ade ko Jerusalem. Na ye ntokwa e wo mu ntem. Nti Trump baaye no obeyi capital no free Tel Aviv. Ade ko Jerusalem. Na saa Jerusalem asase no so no. Eho na obetimi agina one street so. Na wo na ba akusi Palestine asase so. Na wo na ba akusi Israel asase so. Na nso omo nka. Na Jerusalem hwa so na obekwa akohu the Golden Gate wo ho. Eho so na obekwa akohu the biggest mosque wo ho. Na Jerusalem wo ya akro yi mu a na obekwa akoto se Yesu nan ba ako wo Belarusa. Na obekwa akoto enan kakraka ba ako so wo mosque na wo Jerusalem ho na mu. Eno nso so mo se ye Muhammad nan. Na minim sa Muhammad ko soro de a mintumi nkyere o asende ya mintumi nkyere na Jerusalem kuro ya ena san sensem ya ekoso nyina ne fapem no ejina nti yen break down the history na fe asofo ni bi na ehyehyehye nkom yen hye say if they are okay or not cause me respectful nti mintumi ndidi obi atem nti we bi say America fo ntoko omo okun ena America no Trump na sesa capital no no start chiro Bible na efi wo na fe ntokwa bai America fo bebre e ka se nye omo na omo beko ntokwa ama Israel fo papa ye omo bu ni nsei o se nye ye ntokwa e na omo di ni sha say gate ni wo bu ni say fun. And even if the Jew people have a motivation for the war, this war that is happening in the Middle East, the one involving Iran, the US and Israel, if you talk about it to the people from a political angle, it doesn't make sense to anyone. And me, I don't have book, I don't have education, so I can't even say this. But people who have knowledge, deeper knowledge about it are saying it doesn't make sense. Those who are sitting up there, upright, don't see any sense in this. But African pastors are saying God is showing them things in it, whilst human beings don't see sense in it. But in Crawford, so Onyame no kan Onyame, I ask Akasa about it. No Nyankopon sa wom. A whole God is sitting in a senseless war, revealing things to people whilst people are dying. Innocent ones are dying. And I don't know, because he himself is a killer. From Genesis to Revelation, he's a killer. Na yenhwe baby asa anyame ogina ewo all these things mu. In fact, if you've watched Time with Maame Grace since the beginning of the war, you will see that I have held a different opinion on the causes of the war in my Reason for War series. Mama mu ni nyina wa wanhwe no betumi akɔhwɛ the Reason for War no. My yes are serious. No? But as the war continues, the understanding keeps deepening into a more esoteric angle. And that is where I am taking you to. To that extent, we have to elevate the conversation to the deeper side of spirituality. Because that's where I belong, in actual fact. Some say it is about oil. Some say it is about power. Some say it is about money. And some are even saying it is about covering of sin file no more revealing. But I want to tell you today, and this is my opinion, the opinion of Maame Grace, in second say, this war is first religious. Religious. And secondly, in satisfaction of an occult agenda. One is for the people and the other is for the secret rulers. Enyama mienu we na ye nan asa ntokwa we gina so ana ntokwa we ni source ana ntokwa we ni fapim eye nyama mienu ya maken. The religious angle may work for the Jews and not the USA, because most powerful and secular nations in the world, like America, the UK, Canada, Australia, are nations that have started forgetting about traditional religion. They don't have time to waste when it comes to religion. They don't take it at heart like Africans do. They used it to free themselves to a certain point, and they've moved on. And they've broken a lot of churches there and turned them into businesses and all that. It is only Africans who don't have jobs, but are still building huge churches. Enti nun kan krofo we die asori sem emfa omo ho sa asumsum sem emfa omo sa, because eba na asumsum sem ni nyame sem anka they've moved on. So when say san krofo yi bi tete sum echi ana nyame echi a na che say bibi na ope bibi akata nanim, so do benyi nipa dudu obi support. They have forgotten what it means to see the world through the eye of the dogma of fighting for God. They've gone beyond that. They won't fight for God. How many people put religion first in Europe? Tell me. Is it not yanya ne yekoho? Ne yasan akọ biebie nsori ne ade wo ho. Wokọ abrochire no. Said ya uhu Islam wo ho. Ene said ya uhu Christianity wo ho no. Uhu ni say eya ha ne ye take it serious so. Eye aha. Ena ye wu ama Nyankopon. They don't have time to waste on this. You see, someone who doesn't cherish religion now cannot understand when a religious war is being played out in front of them. Inform. How much more when it has to do with esoteric practices like achieving an ancient task begun by Solomon. Se wo de ba honamani mpo asonsom ne asoresem a omo nse da nimu saa nti ebeba ne se na wo de bewura honhom semu edi akopim ade a Solomon na bayi sem ana ne mmoro nsamsem a o start ye no ebe de no mo awuruti akomu dipa understanding mpo ni ho ma ebinom nti ebe de no de no akofrofro ade a Solomon na bayi sem ne mmoro nsamsem o start ye no de on te ase epo, because we're moving on with belief. The people see missiles and tanks. They see oil pipelines and political alliances. But to make sense of the war in that deep religious sense, it's not clicking. Rather, the people who are running this war behind the curtain, behind the cameras, have been programmed with that religious agenda. Crophobia ye programium and omu tete baby no mu yes adi na ye nkrofo kakra bi en America no so obi open boni edi no di Nyankopon wakata nani Nyankopon ni wem so obi ate ase to achieve a purpose and vision of occultism we ntini bebrebe, and it's sad Africans believe it is a god be doing something and revealing whatever to them. Minim nia ono me and minim nia wedi so. But let's get into this. That is why we are here tonight. And then yebetena ha ni ewura asem we mu ni yahwe ni ye. Because Israel for no mode osono mo se o Israel nyame no. Prophet fo bebrebe Nathan ne nkrofo yina asefo e ho no mo wo. Odifo bi ehu prophecy bia wo Israel. But African, 40 African, who prophecy. Let's get into this and see what is there. And American. Say a real episode when I saw feel so to me about one crop for what prepared drum maybe no man so. We start with the myth of the special rock of Jerusalem. Because no be a person called Jerusalem no koshe. No propaganda can convince any American to believe that his or her country is fighting a dangerous war to protect or take custody of a rock. And I'm sure you are also getting confused. You say, Obi on we just mato a chile obeku no ho, abre no ho, so okokun tokwa, na akofa rock. So, let me take you there. I mean, no unkom ni enhwa de. Yenhwe ntokwa ni nyina ne fare bai. Na fe wadwen ye. Let me bring you to the center of everything. Because the truth is, you cannot understand this war without understanding that rock. One is Adianasia, a bed yamon. Where the rock is situated, nanka me babe can be. But metrain. When I finish the rock mythology, then I will open the role of the occult agenda by the Roman Empire behind all this. Say who we are Africa for? Oh, follow na. But ye betcha, na bia ye betunya fish a few people who can help Africa to liberate itself. My name is always Maame Grace. I'm Mwakwaba at the best spiritual wadumedi kesi iso. I believe you, I believe you, I believe you, I believe you. I send you love, I send you love. I send you joy, I send you strength. I send you joy, I send you joy, I send you strength, I send you light, pure energies, wherever you are watching me from. I believe you, I do not bless you. I believe you, I do not bless you. I wish you a nature day and I welcome you to another episode of a spiritual hour. On this platform, I am the pride of our ancestors. They speak through me, they smell through me, and they drop every particle of information through me to us. Call me the greatest G, the Grand Phoenix. Call me the Divine Phoenix. Say, call me any name I would do. But mema urenfi. Say me Maame Grace. Aye. And then we are discussing the third temple of MORIAH. Na me ma wate war no ne fapem ase. Ne ya hwe se de ebedwe maka stages aye be ko natural dada. Timu di kan hwe the rock of MORIAH. When people talk about the Middle East, most modern people think of oil, gas, the price of petroleum. But when ancient religious people talk about the Middle East, they talked about one place, maybe Bakupe and Omoniwo, Jerusalem. And inside Jerusalem, there is one spot that is so sacred that three of the world's biggest religions of Christianity, Islam, and Judaism all claim it as their holiest point. How I wish all Africans will also claim the Greenwich as their holiest of holies. But I don't know when. Because when you look at the frequency and the energy and the strength, I have been there multiple times to research physically, to research spiritually, to read energies, read the frequencies there, and echo the energy to me the sky ni mu no watch the sky na ma hwe ahode ewom, and I have been in that meridian place no ma fa line so baby wo kwa me ntumi nka se ma fa ho because me pese obi aba be che me nkwase ache na me read here. I'm like, what's the point? But in Crawford way ebeku omo ho ama na yenso ye free ho akọ the same place ye kofa stone ni e de aba me ndi say ye kobu ni free. That is why they both have their most important places there. They have all the Namakanu Golden Gate. They have the most beautiful mosque. They have all their stands there. That place is called the foundation stone to them. The Abrahamic religious sect will fight and battle to claim this spot. And this is why. Someone ti we say a bayeding. Follow religion if you want. But please understand it so well to know what exactly you are doing. I think we lack this. Say yenim way history way a mingi this onipa bia begina ba bia senkom say nyame di nene kasai. The foundation stone is a rock, a literal rock, not a building, not a monument, a stone, and it sits on what used to be called Mount MORIAH, which was once the highest point in the oldest part of Jerusalem. So, that is why religion cannot do with mobile. Upon this rock I will build my church, and the gate of hell shall not prevail over it. Jesus is the rock of ages, rock of ages. Cleft for me, let me hide myself in thee. Rock unkoting. Christ is the solid rock, I stand all other ground. The sinking sun, all other ground. A sinking sun. We are Church of Christ. Embubai se munkote. Because of this, anya bubaya no ye mountain. Embubai. A bubai no ma Moses o huna manze. Or the buba no mse fa koka bubai na ensuo mbra. Or the buba ni or the aba no ko hwe buba ni mse to. Apparently, what's in the Jesus in it? What happened? To what's how when you obey Canaan? This is the reason why there is a mobile everywhere. Now, let me tell you what this rock means to each group of religious bodies of the Abrahamic faith. Cause Christ no a solid rock. Now what buy tin what queen? Bobe. You are coming to tell people that you saw God and God told you. Which God in actual fact? I will build my church and the gate of hell will not prevail over it. Coronavirus, mafia, the rock. Messi me danye. What both times so? Meto mebo na messi ni na mini Jesus betsina. Messi me danye what both times so? Nsu to awusro. For Jews, this is where the world began, according to the Jews. And all creation started. To them, upon this rock. The Torah says that God created existence from this very point where the rock is. It's very, very important to them. This is Judaism for Akachi. They also believe that it is the place where the great ancestor Abraham brought his son Isaac to be offered as a sacrifice to God. This same mountain, Pacho, our Genesis chapter 22, verse 2. In fact, let me read. Then he said, "Take now your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of MORIAH, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you." Onyankopon na all empower obi so onfa ne ba nkonkoku no. Because ono awaku ne ba pen, ono oku nipa o. Nipa kum eye ne power. Eye nyame ben. Wa wo ye nipa hwa wo ba so odin oye wo chi ba bia ebi mu achinchi na eyo momenti. But for traditional Muslims, this is the holy spot where Prophet Muhammad ascended into heaven. And so, Arabs have built one of the most beautiful buildings in the world over that rock called the Dome of the Rock. I have been there multiple times. When I read things, I know I have eyes. So I gather money, travel to go and see. So when I'm talking about it, I talk about it, you make research, and you give me respect that I'm doing so well. And it has been sitting there for over 1,000 years. A Jew for say why the holiest. And Arab for no so say bibi wo ho, to omo so esi omo dan wo ho. I remember going to Jerusalem to visit these sacred places as a Christian. Akosa me say baptism abosa. The serious issue of this ne say wa hu. Omo yina egitum so omo ye nipa baako omo pray ade baako ho na America no enan kese baako si mosque na wo Jerusalem ni mu ni say ye Muhammad nan na minnimu da say Muhammad was ascended, so I went there na maka Belarus aso de ade baako na nipa we nkrofo we pray ho minnim da ombe pray ho awie to ko Jerusalem the same spot now Jew for no so wo mo de wo ho. That means it holds a special religious importance to Christians as well. Yes, so for Christians, this special rock is close to the place where Jesus was crucified and rose again. You see the point I'm trying to make? Me bombard you with all this knowledge. Now what na say media me nkan kire wo say for the American. Ba me kire wo say wo ankasa. Hwehwa wuniama na me de ma unu me bi mpa na wo pese wo hwehwem but wunim. Ti me release ma wa no wanya ba bia wo begina na de afefi niama na ni ase. Sankrofo 3 nyina gina one place. A site outside the city walls of Jerusalem, known in Aramaic as Golgotha, which means place of the skull. I have done full editorial about this. My head the cross, my head the skull, my head the spinal, my head weighing enough for you to know. My head the soul of man, ni Solomon bibia ma. What this same platform so. Often referred to as Calvary, and Calvary. I'm kind of dream. Derived from the Latin word Calvaria. We don't just jump out of religion. We have studied it well. I learned at every level to make the decision I made. That is why I am here and still here. For reference, it can be found at Matthew 27 verse 33 and John chapter 19 verse 17. I don't want anybody to tell me I don't know what I'm saying. So I am giving you references. And you those who are saying, I don't believe in the Bible, but I quote it. Today I have answer for you guys. Now remember, when I reference a Bible verse, people say, oh, you criticize the Bible, but you quote it. Yes. Today, let me tell you something. You those who don't understand why I quote the Bible. Let me answer this once and for all. Look, I am answering that question. You keep asking me. I am telling you an event of belief and where the belief is recorded. TMU. I'm not into beliefs. I want to know. That is why when I read, I move to the place to read the frequency. So I go beyond the written words. I want to know. I'm not just believing. I'm too wise to believe anything. To me, this is simple. If I say something about a newspaper, I will reference that newspaper and show you where the story is written. So you don't look at me like a joke. At the same time, if I tell you about an event that has caused some people to believe in a certain way, I will reference that event at the place where it was recorded. It doesn't mean I believe or not. It's just a reference to what I am saying. You bab? So I quote the scriptures. It's a book. A script, people are acting on it. So when I'm talking about that act, I have to reference you to that script. That is why I quote scriptures. All right? So when you see me quoting the scriptures, I'm talking about an event and I'm referencing you to where you can get a source or something to read about. Let me fancy and here no course and say I am a man you say anyway, let's continue. So, on this one spot of the foundation stone, or very close to it, like in the crucifixion of Jesus, all three religions have placed their most sacred stories and consider that environment holy. Omu jinyamidi. But omu acti on bibi soa yentumi. Adeye baako. But omu to me agree on anything. Cause of power to rule over people. Now, King Solomon Papa solo. Ashawo for hene. Echa hene. That's Solomon. God of Abraham, God of Isaac, ashawo for alanko. That's why you people cannot survive marriage. Abraham, Isaac, Moses, nankra na untumi nkasakora. So jana yere san ware fufuro. These junkies. The famous and wealthy king of the ancient biblical text built his first temple on this exact spot per the tradition and belief of Judaism. Solomon na sorry dan no seen. Ye kan ye di to yen ho no. Solomon built a temple. And God came to dwell in that temple. You see Solomon Papa David. Okuntokwa bebre nti onyankoro ponto edi ampa ama ne kwan ama na nsi asori dan ya amfa ama no. Because o se ne nsa ho wo moja. Tio. Ne nsa ho wo moja na tese onyankopon pekun. But Solomon de obisa anyansa wankokun. Nti nyankopon ma ne esi asori dan ama no. Na according to this text no, onyankopon si form ebe sha sorry de ni mu se ekumo te say dia washi read na from mu se ni free ni hwini mu ba no sa temple we e na sha woni papa we esima nyankopon betinem nyankopon se David ye bone ba Solomon ye bone yo yate no wala sa sorry down we so was built in the exact place ya make ho asem Mount MORIAH yi eho na sa sorry down yi so yesi wo yen hwe but something very powerful sits on this doctrine in the Jewish Torah, which says very clearly that God can only be worshipped publicly and sacrifices can only be made to him, Theo, in that one place where the foundational rock is, not anywhere else. Enti minim se we inti na Ghana fo kotwa bi beto ha na. Because according to Jewish tradition, no, onyankopon untumi ntina baabia, untumi nsum no wo baabia, untumi nye sacrifice man wo baabia, ade se sa place ne pe. How? Because God told David about his son Solomon, who would build a house for him on that rock. So the first temple of Solomon was built and later was destroyed by the Babylonian at the same place. God's temple. A see omunsi no onyame tena ho ma Babylon fo enipa dasani ebedwuri gudwure be wo ti ka se nyankopon kan wo kire o. I'm not getting you. Babylonians no asori dan na king papa ashawo Solomon o si ye no a onyankopon betena asori dan ni mu kumo no onyankopon ti ho bia na Babylon fo no. In the days of the Roman Empire, the second temple was rebuilt. Wobubuma Solomon osi. Na nkrofu Roman fo wasan wa ba besi. And Jesus himself preached inside it. Jesus na kasa kodina asori na Roman fo besi nu mu e na okan Ewurade asem. Pacho wo enyame na mikon. According to Christian religious account, amefa we mamo. I'm going to say because these things you need to sit in a proper classroom to learn, not 2 weeks school and 1 month. Aye, to my mama scriptures and I'm question because my mouth scriptures now question na wona udidi matema yesu mo janka wanim. Oja and show osuru jantingu so osuru jo fire. Aye and show. Let me give you. The Bible records that Jesus often taught in the temple throughout his ministry. Yesu, sa sorry dino. Dia Solomon sisi no mu dwiriguye, but the Roman fo besi ye no. Yesu ejina sa sorry dino mu eye na sorry. Especially in the days before his crucifixion. Ye ba bekunu no na ho no ogbo adwuma pa. And frequently drew large crowds. Ehwo ye ma notable passages including Luke chapter 19 verse 47. Ubehu wo ho. Luke chapter 21 verse 37 to 38. Mpacho ubehu wo ho. John chapter 7 verse 14 to 36. Pacho ubehu we wo ho. And Mark chapter 11 verse 15 to 18. Enu susu ubehu wo ho. The person metro se Bible no makan. I'm mentally stable. my brain, I got 20% of oxygen in it. And apart from me reading and learning all these things in classroom, I have also been there myself. To all these places, I have been there. I want to know. Mama scriptures in Abusia, where he taught daily, confronted religious leaders, and expelled money changers. All in this same temple. Ye ka ho asem. Ntokwa we ya nkrofo okono. Nyansa ba akokora enim. Na mebekire wo na wadwen. And during one of his sermons, Jesus he said something that shocked everyone who heard him. He said, this temple will be torn down. Not one stone will remain on another. Yesu na eka say, asori dan na Solomon achawo wo si ye na omo adwiri egu no Romanfo abosomsomfo no so aba. Omo so abesi ehọ na Jesus ko gina aye. Na Solomon si asori dan omo so the demons na esi ye. Romanfo no so ba ye omo so munyam. Nti ade no bibini wo se wo na na ye brunsam. Abusia ye wonsam kan. Ye wonsam kan. Temple we ya so a Roman for isu besi Yesu no gina mu ono so se ebedwire agu. Nti aya na mintumi nti ase o. Mintumi nti nkrofo we ase. But after 40 years of the death of Jesus, the new Roman emperor called Titus came and destroyed the second temple and leveled it totally stone by stone. Obedwire asori dan ni egu na chese de Yesu kan aye no. Aye den. Abem. In the same ntokwa ye ekoso gina he na Roman for no so gina na he na Jew for no so gina some mpo de nkomo wo Israel che say look at this oh patron look at this God the bibi oye bi aye distraction ekum ni akoko which God is this onu pa no bo wiase bo ni papa e na obi heavy say enye weird e me anwene ho we de misre mi bi so ma bi no o mi akafu ka dojikula nchinyo. This God is, into me. He scattered it completely, totally. Not one piece left standing. It is one of the most thorough, carefully executed works of destruction in history. We use slave trade free war. And no so was. Omu bubu ni se jurebe buburuja. Onyame asore dan. Wase nkom so omu nsi. You do 2 times. Where you dey? And since that event, which took place about 40 to 70 years after the death of Christ, till today, for almost 2,000 years, the temple has not been rebuilt. Obedient to me see biom. Emi say nka Tobiah ayi. I will arise, Lord, I will arise and build. I build the Jerusalem walls, no. Oko se si e wo ho. Temple lele anye Amadon. Nyankopon mo masori dan. If you are a normal Muslim or a Christian, we are normal one, we are normal one. It may not mean much because you don't know the depth of the story. Because when you and you can't readily connect but in traditional Judaism and certain Freemasonry and Catholic groups rebuilding that temple is the most important thing that must happen before the end of times. I hope you understand this, so we can proceed and sink deeper. So we a normal Christian and a normal Muslim. Asama mi ke ebe ti say yedede wo waso. Me pese muti asem we yi. Mi hihye bibi nam de bibi asiso ama wo. Na wadwen na bibifo ehu ba bi ese nkom dodge fa. Now let's look at the third temple and fire. We say. Now, Abusia, this is where things get very deep. There has been one known attempt in history to rebuild the third temple in the last 2,000 years. The first one was Solomon. The second one was Titus. Nti say omo hwa kwan omo befa so a omo besi the third one. Na no de 2000 years in. It happened about 300 years after the temple was destroyed for the last time after Jesus died. Owuko ayechire no, Emperor Julian, the last non-Christian ruler of Rome, who hated Christianity and sought to revive paganism. Because this man, Emperor Julian, already the real thing. From Christmas to Corpus Christi to Bibia, Obehu said it is everything paganism. There is nothing like religion or Christianity. Until he hated the lies and wanted to pursue the truth. That is Emperor Julian. Into a yanajin said, Obesi sa temple no. Na temple a demons says here, juregu de, efa Christo for obey. Intimidate maminkosi. Into this Emperor Julian, also about reviving paganism, made the decision to reconstruct the Jewish temple. He funded the project, dispatched workers, and appointed a governor to oversee the efforts. I had to say temple na no musi Ghana. Omo appointed Bibia La Wu. This is Emperor Julius Act na name say ye copy. And then something very strange happened, according to writers of the time. The Biomu were writers. It is only African who doesn't have writers. The legend says that when the workers began digging the foundation of the new temple, fire came out from the ground and the workers were burned to ashes. Or much say juribe I said Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego dieno. But the nyamia se Ghana diene janche mo juribe. Obi beka say because na onye Christo ni nti na oja Christo for wo ni amo de cheche omo were arehu. They tried again and again. The fire kept coming. Ejana na ele chonwon. Ti omo ntumi ansi. And they gave up and could not complete building the temple for the third time. Enti Solomon, any Titus, ni de ni nyina adwiri egu. No nyame asore dan besi nde. Omo ntumi ansi. Omo twen da Ghana fo besi omo de na wie bi omo benya obi amanasi. And just as a few months later, Emperor Julian was killed in a war with Iran. So, Iran, they have killed someone before. So ask yourself, this war, who would they kill again? Because they killed Emperor Julian. Also, at war, a man who tried to reconstruct or to rebuild the temple of God that Moses and Titus built. Iran killed him at war. So who will they kill again? Because they are at war again. Are they going to kill Trump? Or they are going to kill Netanyahu? Or my yebido? Obi beka say, enye Iran, patro no na ye Persia, paucho. Because Iran name no came to be in 1935. Nti omo an omo ye Persia for no nti menye lost wa ha. Paucho pa. Nti omo de omo kwa war, omo kill leaders. Omo pese omo restore bibi in Jerusalem. Ti mi bisa mo say, when mu Trump pese or put Jerusalem together, na Netanyahu not to ho. Ti na bisa say, who will Iran or Persians no kill this time round? Think about it. The same Iran that is at war with Israel today. Omo an omukum papa yo. So, history has been revised and is being played again. Who would they kill this time round? Ironically, when the former president of Ghana decided to build a temple, it is rumored that they went to Jerusalem to break a part of the foundation rock to plant in Ghana at the site of the new temple. I don't know where they were up to and who was advising them. That person should be a joker. Sorry. People hallucinate, and because of where they stand, and they give as an advice. After 8 years of spending millions of dollars, the site of the temple remains idle. Video with no single structure in sight. Is this a case of the curse of the foundation stone? What could be the problem? I'm not talking about that thing yet, but I will one day talk about that temple they tried to build. I'm not talking about that, but I will talk about it. What were they up to? Who was advising them? Was Ghana transporting Solomon's energy from Jerusalem to Ghana? Mibisamo, who was actually advising them? Mibisamo. Mama history, no? Where are you people ready for that? And are we ready to fulfill the accompanying sacrifices and rituals? Hey, we are serious people. Oh. I don't know who was bragging in the name of advising these leaders. Now, from a spiritual perspective, what does this say? Pamucho, what does this say? Do modern religions need a temple to worship? And Crawford will play with intelligence and Crawford intelligence, especially Africans. Na mi bisa me was Africans and kasa omu ni momo. Israel for so omu kwa manyankopon. Omu ti go tete omu ye Israel for. Who are the original Israelites? Me jidi sa mi bisa sa question we. Ato Ghana for bi lies. Do modern religions need a temple to worship? This goes to all the pastors and the bishops. The revised version of Christianity had wanted to water down the religious impact of the foundation stone. So when Christians fail in something, they always have a way. Omu benya bibia ka fa ho enye bibia aye mana beto omu de so omu de na ye papa. Asori dani jirigu ye na omu ntumi nsi no. Afetie de omu de ba ye. With the Bible, when Jesus said, I am the new temple, they were trying to use the personality of Jesus to say that the era of a physical building as the house of God was over. Because I didn't know you to me. See, Almighty God. And they needed to have a way. And changing the narrative, no? Then fitting into something. So that the aggressive behavior towards rebuilding the temple in the midst of many wars would slow down. They tried to lie to cover this up. Nti war no has it slowed down? Almost throw some besanya kosi. Roman for no, some besanya kono obi mwasanya kowu. Enti no hu, ebi omude ade we yafa. Obi binim tina se da. No nridi ade yi deep. No shame. African Christians were the first to buy it. Oh, I tell you lies. So, the action plan is to divert the awareness of Christianity from the sacred temple, so they will not want to own the physical land. Once they do that, then the fighters will reduce. Because Omwa Kwama Emperor no Julian New. Let's just say almost slow class on Bessan Kohubium. Into develop another strategy. Oh, African fought on the fast. So an African preacher or a bishop will say your body is the temple of God. And the same people are building huge temples and huge assorted they be renovate omu di bibi kan they be omu kwa no mu fuma asase. Echen ya bosumsum fo. They say assorted no air condition fully nyanya. Nso onipa na wakwa asore na nka oye temple of God no wafon o yare no kro mu ntumi nso so ntumi nti ase. So they pumped the idea of the relationship between God and humanity that had moved inside the human being. The temple is in you now. Ntimi hwehwe temple na Jew for na ka say hope na obetumi asum nyame na hope na obetumi aye sacrifice nyame bu a Christofo. Impostil la imbubu Israel hono wako adena monko pilgrimage. Hello monko, this is the time imbubu nyina asase ya mboba white still obibini ko pilgrimage e wo hono mo enti se nyame amboa ye na nka solid e besi wa nka be chen meka omo plane no omo aye structures no omo still la Israel didi wo tourism ho they have nothing still omo didi wo Yesu di no yen de e kana na ye boko China for Bible Roman for se wunim Israel for se wunim Arab for Mecca se wunim yen de yasam na ye din ayeya the temple is in you African Christians enti omaji atum problem bi ani ho African Christians do not have a problem omaji edi anything you attribute to Jesus they take it as a divine word so who the Yesu din tale ho nko ade a oh ebeko. So Christians from our part won't fight for Jerusalem anymore. But Ebinum say they want to be spiritual Israelites. That one I know they get the vibe. Leave my land and go. Who's your spiritual why? With the pride. of our ancestors. Usha asema wa wutie nti we pa de nti ne ye ha ye ho. Eku ye ho wo. However, there are people today, right now in this very time we are living, who want to tear down the dome of the rock, remove the Al-Aqsa mosque that was built by the Muslims on the rock, and build the third temple of Solomon. Na ni nyina di American. Ni nyina enya Islam, any Christianity, enya religion. Pamucho. And this is not a small idea. It is being pushed by serious people with serious money and serious influence with a hidden agenda. And what is that agenda? Now we say bisa, what is the agenda of religion? Some because I'm telling you, say Muamu Jidi said the ekosu away. Inti say ye Yankopon pa. They should tell you the war Jericho the keke kan wo asisi ebi ani. So mu churo we so the two 50 years no mu di share Bible bi amu a na ye kan African will get a kind of Christian sector almost so ebe protect ade we bare. Mpacho tie we nyina wi den na wo dwen. Inti ntokwa we na omokunu. Is it religious? Ana obi pese o kire se oye bibi na onyame age no because onyankopon so Israel for omo tan omo ansa na onyame be descend nti omo create bibi me nipa tan omo amanyame descend ana pamocho ntokwa we pa omo kono na ninjina so ye dan eden na omo ogi. Now they don't want to win the war. Let me explain this. Obi se Maame Grace nti kasa bebrebe wa ka patres now. Here is my position. Tiemiye abusuya tiemiye mi andwen ya ho na asuzi da he no do. Hey na abusuya sese kan ya asam ne de asuzi da modo. In fact, I'm in Church of Christ. Asudi da modo. Hey! Can you na asam ne de serious o? Abusuya me talk and me ko mubu. Ha! Oh my Lord. And this is the part that I know will make some people uncomfortable about their Mikiken. Israel is not in this war to win. That's not what they are looking for. Obibaka said in America. Let me explain what I mean. There is an old tradition, a manuscript held in certain secret societies that says the following. The world will one day rise against one nation. And when that happens, it will open the door for the final judgment. I have told you, some people are just acting on a script to prove themselves people of God. They are not doing anything to win nothing. For the apocalypse, for God to come down and save his people in this belief system, the suffering of Israel, the hatred of the world directed at them is not a consequence they are trying to avoid. And yes, protection. It is the goal. It is a requirement. They need the world to hate them. When you understand that, then the war in Gaza, the war in Iran, the conflict by the US, it makes a different kind of sense. When you understand this, they are not fighting to win any war. They want a fulfillment of a script. Why would a small nation keep poking bigger and bigger enemies? Why would they continue actions that makes more and more of the world angry with them? Why would they not find a peaceful resolution like I said from the beginning? These are questions. Because peace is not the plan. They are not looking for peace. They are not fighting anything to win and at the We are now in stage 2 or stage 3 or whatever. Sankrofo Roman for ne sankrofo. Omo kuda ben na ye o se be ende. Maybe so. Omo an she Israel for millions. Ende. Ende that's what you win. Ebeye more. That is why they keep creating bombs and they know what they have assigned. If I will be bibini, peace is not the plan. The plan, according to this ancient script, TME, is to accumulate enough world hatred, enough mass antipathy, until every nation turns against them. And when that happens, according to the belief, God comes to rescue them. Which kind of God is this? That will write this script for these people to follow, to destroy the world. Say we are no man kasa musu muhu nimdie na kosra mo ana mo bese mo. The Tower of Babel. Nyamusi kosra no Nyankopon de confusion ba no be breke mu nyina da. Edie be Nyankopon ni. Enye bi na esi. Why are you prophesying about this? This is an old thing. Scripted down. What are you saying? That is the scripted end. So this God. Oh my God. And the people behind this movement have been building to this moment for a very long time. Israel was not formed by accident. In my opinion, the new Israel movement was formed after the Second World War with this specific myth in mind. Say mumbra, mumon time wa. I say you can. Nkrofo yo mo ho sesi omo na mo ye Israel for. Na Egypt kura ye ni me da so Africa obibi ni be ne tewo. Bibisam. To gather and create a religious brand of a chosen people in one place, to make them a target, to make the world attack them, and to call down the divine intervention of the judgment of God. This is it. Inti won say Christopher ni nyina say ewiase ye na eba, ewiase ye na eba, ewiase ye na eba. Ewiase ye na eba na wo keep a wo screaming ewiase ye na eba from no abre to besi nde. Ewiase ni emu an yeti. Ah? You do ba be ye manium. This is not politics. This is ancient religious programming being executed in real time. When I'm a person obiate as here, and those of us who are watching with eyes that only see politics, we are watching a ritual and calling it a new story. It goes beyond that. Ebusia, think carefully about what I am saying. Think about who benefits. When the world hates Israel, who benefits? I'm asking. Think about who benefits. When everyone is angry and inflamed, who benefits? America for you was work was we lose to billions of dollars. Papa you us in there. All bu America for to buy ya nyama sponsorship na azaza or Africa in us we twem. Also all share finances ye. See ala first na ncheli post nyama. Afankrofo ya wojijiji nyama eso nche na ekwa etu esika wo ho obeduga na nso a na etu esika wa nyama nso wo be wie bia fim na onsa aka de aka no na first ne de na posti nyama free ha e de call mo ho a na omo njisika sese o posti nyama free ha e de call ho a utu esika no wa ha ekodu so omo so jisika just like we are doing na try de opesika za man this same person is this person na why this decision na we lose to billions. So what is the sense? Eucharos, Mr. Eucharos. What is the sense in this? Abusia, think carefully about this. Pamocho. Think about who needs that world hatred to fulfill their ancient prophecy. Because when you say we are obe instigating crofama na make sure say abem ebi na ekoso wa he. Say nya mahunu na Bible choro ye no se mahunu ye kom. We will continue this conversation in the next episode. But for now, I want you to sit with this one question. If you had to create a script for the dramatic end of the world, how would you do it? How would you do it? It's a script. I would love you to write it in the comment section, but you can write and WhatsApp it so I can be posting it. This is the question. Will Israel succeed in bringing about a world war? And will a nuclear weapon be used to wipe everyone out? A question I'm saying, help me understand. Please write this in the comment section. You can also write script. Because the air question was a fain and crofo, my ye will try to test Nadia. And now they are going to do more stuff. Nkrofo omo nka ho mpo no. Omo koye more bomb ne de keka ka ho. Na obi betimi aya ye de oto ba kon ye nyina ya se atore. Eye possible. Is the third temple possible? Ibisam. The third temple, is it possible? And will it be built in 2026? These are huge questions. All these things going on. Intina mi bisa where you can leave your comment for me. So that you better idea way so. Share your thoughts in the comment section. I really need it. Next week, we'll go to the darker side and see who are those calling themselves the chosen ones. Na yen san so nhwe. Say Israel for na nkasa na omoto omo no mo ye Israel for ana. Ana ye sebio kafra che muwa bi ayaye omo so mo mewi ase nwo. Na se enyo omo a Israel for no omo wo he. Na omo ankasa so omo promises ni ye den. Na omo ani da so ye den. Effort to be no mo ye. Let's break all these things down next week. Now, I'm share a video, no. I yet tinting. I had them do besi.